Hello, Tar Heel Nation. Welcome back to another episode of UNC Hoops Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Dan DeWitt, and we are here to gloat, to celebrate, to just bask in our Tar Heels being the ACC champs for the 23-24 season, outright regular season champs. And now we're on to the ACC tournament and see what we can do there. And obviously, beyond that, to the NCAA tournament as the most important thing. But let's settle in. Thanks for joining me, whether you're joining live on YouTube or listening later on the podcast app. I hope that you are subscribed so that you will get this wherever you're listening or taking it in. Would love to have you to join live sometime, and all you have to do is go to go to youtube.com/UNC Hoops Talk and subscribe, and then hit the little bell so that you get the notification of when we go live. Because sometimes it's a couple weeks, and now this time it's only been 5 days. We got one game to talk about tonight, besides what's going to come forward. So, yeah, let's dive into the Tar Heel Duke game. But again, I want to thank you guys for being here, for supporting the podcast, and I obviously couldn't do it without you. So appreciate you all, and I hope that we are connected somewhere, whether it is on YouTube, whether it's on Instagram or Twitter, X, whatever it's called these days. Maybe you're in the Discord with us, whatever it is. But I hope that we're connected and we're talking Tar Heels outside of the podcast as well, because this podcast is here to unify Tar Heel Nation. So yeah, that's enough of that stuff. Let's get that out of the way. Let's jump in. Tar Heels go into Cameron uh, on senior night. Not that it matters, because who's got seniors anymore, especially if your name is Duke. Uh, Technically, I guess Jeremy Roach is. What are they? I'm guessing Ryan Young is. Probably the only two that got minutes that are, and Roach still has a year left. I think Ryan Young is finally done for good. I think he's in his fifth year, as Baycott is. But we go in there, we knock him in the teeth. Cormac Ryan has three quick threes. We get up, 12 pretty early. We're diving on the floor. We get up by as many as 15. I think 15 was the largest lead. I think I can find that here. Oh, it says largest lead 0. We know that's not true. I believe the largest lead was 15. It might have been 17 at one point, but it stuck around 15 there for a while. Um, but yeah, we just jumped on them. We got the crowd out of the game, about as good as a start as we could have had, and never trailed in this game. Duke never led. They got it down to one, I believe, two for sure. I think it was even down one, but never tied it up. Never got the lead. And yeah, big time win. Obviously, we would have shared the ACC title, and I guess I haven't really looked. I think they, because we didn't need it, but I think they would have got, yeah, Virginia did end up three. So, well, wait, no, we both beat Virginia. It was Pitt and Wake Forest. I guess actually we would have won it, or we would have got the one seed, even if we would have lost. But obviously, we would have shared the regular season, and we didn't want to do that with Duke. So we went ahead and won it outright. Guys obviously celebrated, huge win for us. Cormac Ryan, like I said, he had a quick start, but then also had a phenomenal game, a career game. Cements his legacy in the Duke Carolina rivalry. He is forever. Not that he wouldn't have been before, but definitely forever a Tar Heel now, with this kind of production in a UNC win, and then obviously to win the outright championship, regular season championship anyway. He had 31 points. He was 6 for 8 from 3, 9 for 12. I mean, he just couldn't miss. It was great to watch. Good for him. There's pictures and videos of him getting up on the bus on Franklin Street afterwards and celebrating. That he was shushing the crowd. He was pointing guys out as we celebrated in front of their fans afterwards. Just having the time of his life, as he should, for that kind of production. Ingram as well. Ingram was actually the only other person in double figures. He had 14 points, 10 rebounds. Again, hustle plays, big time rebounds, big time buckets. Kind of did it all. But then after that, RJ only had 9. Armando had 9 and 8. Elliot Cadeau had 7, including the buzzer beater. I guess he should have had 8 because that definitely looked like a three-pointer. They counted as a 2, but luckily we didn't need. I kind of said when he made that shot, it doesn't matter if it was a 2 or 3. That kind of clinched the game. But then they did get it down to a 3-point game there. Fouling and stuff. I think a 3-point when they had the ball. I think they ended up turning it over or something like that. But it didn't matter. But that definitely could have if that one. If they would have came down and knocked a 3, and that call by the refs, could have killed us. But Seth Trimble off the bench gave us 6 points, 4 rebounds. Jalen Withers, some really good, 12 good minutes. He gave us 6 points, 8 rebounds, and a block. Jalen Washington only had the dunk, only in 6 minutes, but again, production when he was in there, and it was just kind of a team win. Obviously with RJ, not, he was named the ACC Player of the Year, rightfully so today. So that is good, but with him not having as good a game, he shot. Again, he only shot 12 shots. Harrison had 12 shots. Cormac had 12 shots. RJ had 12 shots. Mondo had 11 shots. So, I mean, this is kind of what I've been looking for. Obviously, not RJ to only score 9, Mondo to only score 9, stuff like that. But to spread it around here, and that's what they were trying to shut down. They were double teaming Armando. They were face guarding and wouldn't leave RJ. Didn't really give him anything, and the other guys stepped up, and obviously that's what you do in a team game. And so that was fun to watch. Exactly what we wanted, exactly what we needed. And yeah, now we get to celebrate. Now we, for a couple days anyway, and then we'll be back at it. So we got Christian in here. Says finally made it to a live show. You've been in here before, haven't you? I'm pretty sure I recognize the game, but it has probably been a while. Says I love UNC to win the ACC tournament. I think it means something at least to this conference to win it. But if they do get knocked out in the semifinal against Wake or Pittsburgh, that's a little bit of a hot take there. That got Duke losing, and that they would be uh, playing Wake, right? No, they wouldn't play Duke until the championship. But we would play, yeah, Wake or Pitt, I guess, in the semifinal. All right. So I've seen some people worried about Florida State in the first round game on Thursday. We'll get into the ACC tournament here in a minute and kind of go through the bracket as far as the Tar Heels are concerned. Nintendo Nerds in here. How you doing, ma'am? Big time dub on my birthday. Happy birthday. That is awesome. That makes the birthday a lot better. I am sure. Always great to beat those Dukies. Yeah, I mean it can feel like anybody's birthday when we take down Duke, and then their fans are crying about it. Our guys go over. I know I've seen some people say, "Oh, it's poor sportsmanship. That wouldn't have happened under Roy and Dean." But if you saw the video of what they were saying to RJ before the game, and just knowing how their fans are, I absolutely loved it that they went and I mean they didn't do anything harsh. I mean they were waving goodbye and just kind of talking some smack to the fans, and the fans absolutely could not take it after the whole rampage of how horrible it is that fans would get on the court and rush the court after a big time win, and people can get hurt from that. And obviously the whole Filipowski thing, and then their fans are throwing stuff at us, and Harrison even says he gets hit with a gumball, and I loved his line after. He's like who has just a gumball? Like, I mean, why are you? I don't know. Why does a college kid have a gumball in his pocket, or whatever? Like, either you eat the gumball, or like, why are you carrying around a gumball? But maybe it was something from the concession stand. Maybe it was a gobstopper or something. But like obviously somebody could get hurt from that too. Like, where's the outrage of? And again, people have been talking about it and stuff, but like to me, that's kind of worse that I mean, they're literally throwing stuff at the players. It's not. Again, maybe we're getting a little off topic here, but I don't think that fan was running at Filipowski. He stuck his leg out, tripping, and kind of pushed him, and it's his own fault for kind of getting hurt. That's my opinion. Obviously, you can't prove that, but to me, that's what the video looks like. I think that fan was going to run past him. I don't think he was running up to hit him or anything like that. They were throwing stuff at our players, and doing stuff. So where was Shire? And we'll get to that in a minute. But where was he in the post game of saying, when is this going to stop? When are we going to stop throwing stuff at players on the court? Someone's going to get hurt, and where's his outrage about that? But Where Shire was, the answer is he's over and apologizing to the students and supposedly the senior students. I don't know how that people know they were seniors, but he was over apologizing to students and shaking their hands up, saying "I'm sorry," blah 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 blah, sounding kind of like Coach K after we beat him in his last game a couple of years ago, when he came out and said, that it's horrible that they lost to us and all that junk in his last game. So it sounds familiar, and it's great to hear from the Dukies because we expect no less. Nintendo says, "I have no sympathy for Duke or Flopowski. Hypocrisy at its finest. At least we don't trip their players." And yeah, I mean, I didn't even go there. Obviously, it came to mind, but we have the whole incident with Flip, and again, like we expected. It's Duke. We've gone through Grayson Allen. We've gone through Christian Leitner. We've dealt with JJ actually didn't trip anybody. He didn't do anything like this, but um, living on the legacy of Grayson Allen of tripping people. But what's even worse, again, it's horrible that he did it. It's worse that the refs didn't do anything about it. If you saw the quotes from Harrison, he went over to TV Teddy, and is like, why didn't you do anything? Or what's he's like, I didn't see it. He's like, are you watching the game? And TV Teddy's like, no. Like, and I don't know that I even believe TV Teddy that he didn't see it because he runs right over to it to kind of get in between Ingram and Flopowski and make sure that Ingram doesn't come back in because he knows that Ingram should have came back and got into his face, or he should have like faked an injury like Flip did so that he gets the call and they would have to go look at it on the board. Why they don't go look at the replay, that just is boggles my mind, because that's the entire rule. That's the whole purpose of it. They look at everything else on replay. Why would you not go look at if somebody got tripped or not, or like what happened, especially if you say you didn't see it? If he saw it, it should have been called right away, technical, whatever. If you didn't see it, well, then when the guy comes and asks you, like, why did he trip me and nothing happened? Like, okay, let's go look at it. And Hubert did initially say, he was hot on the side of show that replay, but I think because play didn't stop right away, he kind of, he moved on. He does what North Carolina does. We moved on to the next play, and he, I guess, forgot to go ask them or whatever. But why they don't go look at that is crazy. And then the worst part, what's even worse than the refs not even doing anything about it, is Flip comes out in the post game and is talking about how like my foot slipped. I didn't even know he was there. Whatever, all this junk that he's saying, which is just crazy because again, why these, athletes, these famous people, actors, actresses, like everything's on video nowadays. Like, why do you think you could just lie about stuff? Because there's probably video evidence about stuff. And you can see on the video that Flip like looks back and sees Ingram there. And then like my foot slipped. Like, okay, it slipped into the air. Like, when does your foot ever slip up? Like, it just doesn't work that way. And I mean, it's just crazy. And so, again, why they can get away with it, we know it's Duke and all this junk, but hopefully, I heard one podcast, I don't remember who it was, but somebody kind of said, now this is kind of the third thing between the court storming, and him saying he was injured, he couldn't walk, and all this stuff, and then he's throwing down a windmill dunk 3 days later, and then this stuff where the video obviously shows he tripped him and he's lying about that. Hopefully, this puts the spotlight on him if there's another incident that it's dealt with correctly. But yeah, we'll get, whatever. Well, it's Duke. We're used to it. We beat them. We beat the refs. Again, we're ACC champs, and now we move on to the ACC tournament. But real quickly, Christian here says Hubert Davis wasn't necessarily on the hot seat, I believe you meant to say, after last year, but it was on the warmer side. Seems like he's the guy for a good while. What a roller coaster of a career so far. Yeah, I mean, again, the first year isn't great, but they go all the way to the championship, and they're preseason number one. Don't make the tournament, and now a whole new roster and win the ACC, possible one seed, at least a two seed. We'll talk about that stuff. And so, yeah, that's it is crazy career. And again, yeah, I agree with you. I think Hubert's got kind of bought himself some years. And I don't think North Carolina is going to like just fire him after one or even two kind of bad years if he has it. But I think with this whole transfer portal and NIL and kind of where college basketball is again, not that Hubert's in this spot, but other places, you may have a good year, but then because stuff's happened so quickly, you have a bad year, you may be gone quicker. So to say he's there for quite a while, again, I think he probably is because of just how North Carolina runs it, um, and he's one of our guys and all that stuff. But it in most cases, I would say you're not necessarily safe for a while just because of a year like this year. So I don't know, my 2 cents anyway. Nintendo Nerd says, or adds on, not to mention how much RJ was getting smacked and punched with no foul calls. The fact that he didn't go to the free throw line once was absurd. Yeah, I mean, the most absurd one obviously was that one where Filipowski kind of threw him to the ground or whatever. But I mean, I was saying it way before that when the announcers were saying go into Baycott and go at Filipowski. I was like, no, we can't because there's no. I mean, he's going to get away with murder. There's no way they're calling him for his fifth foul. And I was actually surprised he got called for his fourth foul. But yeah, there was no way ever he was getting called for a fifth foul. And so it's like you can't go into Armando because he's gonna get away, he's gonna get away with smacking him and whatever. He's not gonna block the ball. He's gonna foul Armando and there's not gonna be any call. So and that was proven by the RJ one. But yeah, I mean RJ, I mean you have to give him credit for most people in that position where they've had the year that RJ had, they would, be throwing up bad shots, trying to get their points and stuff like that. And RJ, obviously he shot the same amount as Cormac, but um, he wasn't really that inefficient. What I say was like 4 for 12. I mean, that's not, it's not great shooting, but it's not horrible either. So, um, give RJ a lot of credit even in this spot to kind of keep his composure. And like we said, we get the win, we get the trophy, and now obviously we get credit. So we've had RJ as the Player of the Year announced today. Again, rightfully so. Hubert Davis was the Coach of the Year. Again, rightfully so. We also, well, obviously RJ was on the All ACC first team. Armando was on the second team as well as the defensive team. Harrison Ingram was on the third team, and Elliot Cadeau was on the rookie team or freshman team, whatever they call it. And so we're getting our credit, we're getting our rewards, and so now we move into the ACC tournament, of course, starting technically tomorrow, Tuesday, as this is being recorded Monday night. But for the Tar Heels, it will not start till Thursday. We'll play at noon Eastern on, it says either ESPN or ESPN2. I don't know what that matters. I guess it's another conference, whether it's the Big 12 or whatever else is on ESPN. Whichever game they decide is better, I guess, goes on ESPN, and the other one on ESPN2. I don't know, but we'll hopefully find out. Well, I guess probably not till tomorrow night. So we will play the winner of Virginia Tech, Florida State, the 8-9 game. And I heard this talked about today as well. Is why does the one seed play the only team that's only played once in the tournament? Obviously, it'd be I don't know. I don't get it. It's Virginia Tech and Florida State's first game tomorrow as they get a bye into the second round. But they're everybody else. Pitt as the 4 seed, Duke as the 2 seed, Virginia as the 3 seed. I guess technically, if the higher seed wins, that team would only have played one game as well. Potentially, you get a upset and you play a team that's played 2 games already. But so I guess that's the point. And plus, the 2 teams. I don't know if that matters too. If you can start scouting them both now, even though they haven't played, but kind of the 2 teams that is between that you're going to play. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that really makes sense, but it is what it is, I guess. So yeah, we'll play Virginia Tech, Florida State. They play at noon Eastern tomorrow, Wednesday, and then we'll get the winner of those on Thursday. And then win or if we win, we would play Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern tip, and that still says ESPN or ESPN2. And if we win Friday, the championship would be 8:30 p.m. Eastern tip on Um, and so, yeah, I've already seen people. I put a poll up a poll, actually, not a poll up on X, I guess it is, or Twitter, of what do you think's going to happen, or what are we going to do in the ACC tournament? And there's already people kind of saying they're worried about Florida State there in that first game. Um, and then other people are being uh, superstitious because I believe it's still true that we've never won a national championship and the ACC tournament championship in the same years. Obviously, we've won the regular season, and then we go, in 17, we lost to Duke in the semis. And I'm not going to remember who we all lost to and stuff, but yeah, we've never won the ACC tournament championship and the NCAA tournament in the same year. So people are very superstitious about picking us to win that, of course, because we want to save it for the NCAA tournament as well. So Christian says, I hate that it's in Washington, D.C. Yeah, it's last year. It looks like it's going to be in North Carolina for the next several years after this. But yeah, it's kind of crazy that's in Washington. I was actually lucky enough to go in 17 when it was in Brooklyn. I guess it's been in Brooklyn a couple of years, but the first time I believe it was in Brooklyn and we lost to Duke in the semis. I was there, and I haven't been to one in North Carolina, but from what I hear, it just isn't quite the same going to these other places than it is to be in Greensboro and Charlotte and stuff like that. So, but after this year, we don't have to worry about that too much, and I mean, who knows what happens to the ACC down the road anyway? If we'll have to worry about that, but uh, yeah. So, um, I mean, obviously, yeah, we're going to play a good team on Thursday. Virginia Tech will play nickel again if we play him. Florida State, obviously, with their athletes, their length, we took care of them this year. Obviously, we're the better team, but and I guess we should stop questioning kind of the guys' motivation and their them their fire, whatever you want to call it, their effort, because you could have said that about Duke as well. We've got a share of the tournament or the regular season and championship. Will they come out with as much motivation? Obviously, they did. They outplayed Duke in that game. They wanted it more. Um, but is there a little bit of let up here in the ACC tournament as we look forward to the NCAA tournament or whatever? But it sounds like these guys want to win kind of everything, so it sounds like they're going to go after it. I do think there's if we could win the ACC tournament, a pretty decent or good shot that we could still get a 1 seed. If we do get a 1 seed, we're probably shipped out west, but that may be better because a lot of bracketologies, as much as I hate them, I do think they have some influence on the committee and stuff. But it looks like they're predicting anyway. If we are a 2 seed, if we're, especially the top 2 seed, we'll stay in the East and be like in UConn's bracket, which I don't think would be beneficial to us. I think it obviously would be better to get up to the 1 seed, and even though we have to fly across country, there's Tar Heel fans everywhere, and Cormac went to Stanford for a year, uh, and Ingram was out there for a couple of years, so they could maybe help the guys out with the geography, and hopefully we could figure it out until we get somewhere a little more favorable, or less more neutral, whatever it may be. But yeah, I do think that'd be beneficial. I think we got a good chance of that if we win the ACC. Probably the only challenge to me, especially if we do win the ACC tournament, would be Tennessee if they win the SEC tournament. I think we should get it over. I just don't know that we will get it over if we do, even if we do win it and they win their SEC tournament. So that's kind of, again, that's me. I don't play a bracketologist. I don't. You know I look at it and don't study it that much, but that's kind of my worry. Is again, we beat Tennessee head to head. I know that it was at home. It was earlier in the season, all that junk, but it should count for something that we did beat them. We won our conference outright, and then if we win our tournament championship, why we wouldn't get the heads over, I don't know, but I do fear that we may not, even if we do win that and they win theirs. So Christian says Greensboro is by far the best location. Charlotte's a fine second spot. Anywhere else sucks. I know they tried Tampa one year. I know that was horrible. Like I said, it's been in Brooklyn a couple years. Who knows what the ACC is going to do in the future, or if it'll be around. But we're not going to talk about that here and now. So Nintendo says UConn and Houston scare me. Don't want to be on the same side as the bracket as them. I mean, Purdue does too. They're a good team. I know they have the stigma of losing in the first round the last couple of years, but height or length gives Baycott trouble. Obviously, they have that with Zach Edey. Their guards are much improved from last year. I'm not saying that we can beat them. I think we could play with any of them. Obviously, we've played UConn, and they kind of have the advantage of okay taking us out to the woodshed. Think I got the schedule up here. I can look at that score, but for what I remember, it wasn't pretty. Yeah, it wasn't horrible. 9 points. I don't think it was that close. Just kind of feel like we weren't in that one. But Houston, yeah, I mean, obviously they're defensive, but they're pretty physical, and I think our team is pretty physical. I think we not again, not to take anything away from there. They're really good. They've been up in the top three, top five for sure, like all year. Really good squad. Obviously, they've earned where they're at, but um, I feel like everybody's saying you have to avoid those kind of three: Purdue, UConn, and Houston, or you have no chance. But I mean, we know how this tournament works, and it's not always the best team that wins every game. So even if we were in UConn's bracket, we get in, Houston's bracket, whatever the 2 seed. Like, there's no guarantee we even have to play those teams. So we have to take care of our business, obviously. The Nintendo says we do have the win against Tennessee, which is huge. Hopefully, Tennessee loses early in their tournament, makes it easier on us, though. Yeah, I mean, but again, we got to take care of our business too. So, again, there's a scenario I think we could get it even if we don't win ours. If like Tennessee loses early in their conference tournament, Arizona probably can't win the Pac-12. I don't know about like Iowa State's in there. They just kind of lost one. Who else has been up there? Um, I don't know those kind of teams. If we got to the championship and lost, and they had lost earlier in their conference tournament, maybe we still get a 1 seed that way. But yeah, I mean, obviously we have to just focus on what we can control, and that's the games that we play and the games before us. So Christian says I can't stand bracketology anymore. Leonard Lunar. Oh, I can't even say his name. You guys know who I'm talking about. Currently has Villanova as the first team out with a 17-14 record. Virginia 3 spots above them with a 22-9 record. Such a joke. I mean, yeah, I think he's got biases. I think he trolls people. And unfortunately, I think the committee kind of looks at what he has and it influences them, which it absolutely shouldn't. But I don't know if you'll convince me that it doesn't. So yeah, that's what we got coming up. Again, obviously ACC tournament. We will or podcast again. Probably not till after the brackets out. Probably Sunday night or again next Monday or something. Um, After the brackets out, we'll talk about what happened in the ACC tournament. Maybe if the Tar Heels do lose, Friday night or something. Maybe maybe Saturday. We can get a quick podcast in, just kind of talk about the ACC tournament, and again, kind of speculate at where we think we'll be bracketed at. But then obviously after the bracket comes out, we'll come out. Um, uh, I don't know. I haven't really thought about doing a bracket challenge. We've done it in the past with the podcast. So I guess you guys can let me know. Again, hit me up on Instagram, on Twitter, comment on the YouTube channel, whatever it is. I'll more than likely see it, and if that's something you guys really want to do, we can set up. Obviously, through ESPN, they have all the groups that you can set up and make a bracket challenge. It's not real difficult, so something we can possibly do. But we'll be back for sure after the bracket is released. Talk about where the Tar Heels at, the matchups coming up, who's in our bracket, and even the bracket as a whole, because obviously that's this is the best time of the year, March Madness, college basketball. This is kind of what we live for. I love, even now I was up there upstairs watching some of the lesser conference championships. When it gets to the finals and these teams, it's a bid league. It's just awesome to see kind of the passion that college basketball has. You don't find that anywhere else. And we had Eastern Tennessee, who was a 7 seed in their conference. They were like 8 and 10 in the conference, and they're fighting to try to make it to the tournament. And you just don't get it anywhere else. So I love this time of year. Gets me fired up. But yeah, obviously we're mostly concerned about where the Tar Heels are and what their path is to success. So we'll take a look at that stuff next week as well. Last thing Christian says, how fitting it would be to win a national championship back in Phoenix. Last time we won it all. I mean, it we've done it before, right? In St. Louis, we've got a couple. So we like those familiar places. So yeah, let's go get another one in Phoenix. But Nintendo says March Madness is truly the best time of year, especially when the Heels are in and hopefully doing well. Yeah, when we have that hope, when we're cheering them on, I mean, you gotta live it up. And day basketball, I think me and my son are hopefully going to go to Memphis for um, possibly the round of 64, but definitely the round of 32 game being played in Memphis. I would love to see the Tar Heels there. I don't think it's going to happen probably, but would love that, and we'll be there for that. But yeah, this is the best time of year. It's March Madness, and we're ACC champs heading for the ACC tournament. And that's what we got here tonight. Thank you for joining me. Thanks for listening later if you are. This is Dan DeWitt signing off for UNC Hoops Talk podcast. Until next time, go Heels.